Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know how you can start working with Git. The contents here will be covered in this video are first, I'm going to give you an overview of what is Git and why you should be using it. Then we'll see how you can install and configure Git, and we'll then see how you can convert a local folder or a repository to a Git repository. I'll be walking you through Git workflows, and we'll add some files and modify some files to see how Git will be able to track those changes. Okay. Finally, we'll walk you through what are branches, what are Git branches, how you can work on different branches, how you can switch between branches, and also how you can merge your changes from one branch to another branch. Okay, hopefully in this video will give you a complete understanding of Git and how you can start working with it. Okay, so our first task is, what is Git, right? So what is Git? So before we start working with it, and so let's understand what is Git. Git is an open source distributed version control system. Now, exactly what is a version control system? It's basically a software that helps you to track your changes made to a file or a folder within a Git repository. Now, what exactly is a Git repository? Okay, your local folder or a directory can be converted into a Git repository, and it's very simple to achieve that. Okay, I'm gonna show you in my presentation now, so I'll just bear with me. Okay, so before that, let's say you are working on a project and you have written some program. Okay, in a file, you have written a program in a file and you want to save that file. Okay, now let's say over a time you thought of making some changes to it again, and maybe add some more new features to the existing program that you have already written and saved it, or you want to fix some bugs in it. So like you got some bugs, so you want to fix those bugs. Now every time you make a change, you would have to save those changes, uh, but you do not have any track of those changes. What are the previous changes that you have made? You will not have a track of it. Okay, for that, what you can do is you will probably have like two options. Its first option is that you can save those changes over that file. So what happens is you would lose the older version of that file, and let's say over time you end up making 1,000 different changes, and later you realize that the last 10 changes was incorrect, and you wanted to go back to the previous version of the file that had the 10 changes prior to the current file. Then it's almost impossible to do that because you do not have a backup of those files, because all those changes you have saved it is not existing. Now there is one more option, but it's a longer way and longer process, and it's not at all suggested. So the second way of saving the changes are, so whenever you make change to a file, you just make a copy of that file. So let's say that you are making your change to file1.txt, and you make some changes to it and you save it to file2.txt. Okay, and then you make your next change and save it as file3.txt, and so on and so forth. And now you end up making 1,000 different changes over a span of few months. You will end up having 1,000 different files. This basically is redundant, and basically 1,000 different copies of a file which is actually not required. So we are just taking one file, but your actual project might have hundreds of different files. And for each file, if you make or if you take a backup, creating 1,000 different copies of each file, and that file will consume a lot of space, and that's really waste of time, and that doesn't make any sense. Now, this is why at this point we need a version control system, and Git is one of the most world's popular version control system. What Git does is it will not create multiple files. If the file, whatever the file, you make a change onto that file, it will just take a snapshot of each of your commits, and it will save it to your history. So this is something overview what I have explained you, like what is Git, and what is version control, what is a Git repository, and uh, I've given you with a brief explanation. Okay, so now what we'll see is we'll come to a practical part, and now we'll try to install Git. So for Windows, you have a direct link that I'll be sharing it to all of you in the YouTube video description link. For Mac, there is a separate a download link. So if you go here and if you do a brew install Git, so you will be able to install Git in your in your laptop. So if you go here and if you just copy this, so I do not have brew configured. So what I have to do is I have to configure brew right now. So if you just directly copy this command, and if you run in your terminal, so this will install brew. Okay, so now that brew is already installed, so let's install Git. All right, we have Git installed. So there is a simple command to check if the Git is installed or not. So what we'll do is Git --- version. This will check. This will give you your Git version. So uh, Git version 2.39.2, which is already installed on my machine. Okay, now that we have installed Git and we have verified the Git version, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna configure our global user. So for that, what you'll do is you need to configure global user. So let's do it. Git git config --- global username. So if you want to verify the username of your Git, just go to, so here what you need to do is you have to open a terminal, and this is my username. Okay, or you can also find the username from your profiles. If you go to profile, edit, and this is your username. Okay, and now we have set up a global username, and in the same way you need to set up a global email. I'm going to set up my global email. Now that you have set up a global user and global email, and now what I'm going to do is, whenever I make any changes to my code, the mostly I'll be using Visual Studio's code. So for that, you need to configure like in command prompt or in your terminal whenever you use that. So what you can do is, if you click on code, your Visual Studio's code should open. So for that, let's also configure to open Visual Studio's code. Like when you click in the terminal, or just a word like code, it should open Visual Studio's code. Okay, let's do it. And the core editor that I'm taking is code, Visual Studio's code. Okay, so here, if you go to Visual Studios, in Visual Studios, you'll have search. In search, what you need to do is just, let's go to just the run command palette, and here you have to just type install code. Okay, this guy, and here we're gonna configure it, and I'm gonna give my admin password, and now it's gonna install. I think the installation is complete. Now if you go to if you open a terminal and if you just type code, it should open Visual Studio's code. All right, so guys, this is the configuration part of Git. So here we have installed Git, we have checked the version of Git that that's been installed on your machine, and after that what we have done is we have configured global user, global username, and I also configured a global code editor, Visual Studio's code. So this is pretty simple steps, which even you can try it. And now let's move forward.